I'm about to talk about the scariest universe to survive in, period. Impossible to live in if you want a proper life. And by life, I mean if you want a dream to aspire to, a mission, a goal, a job, a craft that you're passionate about, if you want to start a family, if you want to be part of a community. Yeah, all that's off the table with this. This is hell. The Warhammer 40k universe is a literal hell. My first introduction to this shit was in the show Secret Level, which does live action episodes of different video game IPs. And it did one on Warhammer with Space Marines fighting a freaking demon. And I decided to look into this lore because there's a lot that is pretty cool to me. As a cinema vigilante, I gotta talk about this. I'm gonna go through the 8 layers of hell that undercurrent this universe. This is like the Dante's Inferno of science fiction. What is humanity in this universe? What are we doing exactly? Well, let me take you through a brief history of humanity's utter fucking decline. You see, it all starts when humanity discovers how to do space travel. When we discover how to transport our ships and fly across space and dominate the solar system and colonize different planets and stars, yeah, that sparks a golden era, y'all. A golden era of advancement for the humankind. This is like the next new renaissance. Then we learn how to travel faster than light. When we go at light speed, then we start to discover stuff like warp drives, psychic navigators. We start to learn how to teleport our ships and move faster through this dimension known as the warp. This dimension of indescribable pure psychic energy that we don't really know a ton about, but we can use it conveniently to navigate ourselves throughout space. Very interesting. Oh, on top of that, we've also created artificial intelligence, these humanoid, sentient, intelligent robots that help us. What could possibly go fucking wrong? Then we start to get a rise of people who have psychic abilities. Psychics have this relationship with the warp where they can interact with it and that guides their abilities. But the problem is there's so many psychics that start emerging around this time that the warp starts to destabilize a bit. And we get warp storms that shut off all communication and space travel for a millennia. And when that happens, we have multiple sects of humanity on different planets, and we get very tribalistic, we get a lot of chaos, a lot of civil wars start breaking out. And from all that violence and all the raw emotion of darkness that humanities have laid at their feet, we have different entities rising up from the warp, which we're going to touch on later. Remember those AI robots that I told you about that we also started? Yeah, they started a revolution. They decide, no, we're not going to be enslaved by humans. We're actually superior. So we're going to pull a Skynet and declare war on humankind and destroy them. And thus begins a full-on war where humans have to, all the humans factions from galaxies have to line up to start an intergalactic war to fight back against the robots. And this basically causes the collapse of the human civilization and causes 1,000 years of suffering. This is bad. Then, an immortal known as the Emperor rises up and says, you know what? I'm taking back control of space. I'm going to lead all the humans to the promised land and we're going to take back the universe for ourselves. And he starts his great crusade with the Imperium of Man, an army of super soldiers built up to help him do this. One of his sons turns against him because his son gets corrupted by the powers of the warp, which we're going to get to, and that starts his own civil war. He defeats his son, but he ends up getting badly wounded, and he's basically a pile of bones on top of the golden throne. And from there, his Imperium of Man morphs and is corrupted into this brutal theocratic dystopia, where people are like fractions, husks of humans. It's fueled by religious dogma that has replaced science and innovation. And that's where we get our Space Marines, the part of the main brunt force of the Imperium of Man, these genetically enhanced super soldiers that can level entire cities and are pretty much stripped of their humanity so they can be as efficient as possible. Humanity's cooked. At this point, you have multiple wars, different factions, and all led by this governing authoritarian rule. It's pretty bad. Then we get to the warp. What is the warp itself that we discover that we can use to transport our ships through? The warp is this dimension of pure psychic energy. It's just like a shifting realm of raw emotion. It parallels the emotions that humanity feels, and from the warp emerges different shapes. It's the home of chaos. Chaos is a literal energy source in this story, and it's manifested in a couple forms. The main ones being the Chaos Gods, these Lovecraftian eldritch abominations that basically manifest as a result of all the decadence and emotions of humanity. Khorne is the god of war and blood, Nurgle is the god of disease and decay, Slaanesh is the god of pleasure and excess, and Tzeentch is the god of change and sorcery. These are ruinous powers, fueled by mortal emotions and are in constant state of rivalry with each other while seeking to corrupt and dominate the material world. So you have full-on gods that exist in this hell dimension, known as the warp. Then you have stuff like demons, malevolent entities rising up from the warp, set to corrupt and destroy humans as well. Then you have demon sorcerers, which are actual humans that have interfaced with the warp and have been corrupted by a god like Zench, and turn into these things, these abominations, that are ultra powerful, by the way, and fuck up Space Marines and humans whenever they get the chance. Then you have the Chaos Space Marines. Space Marines who basically have been seduced by the warp and the Chaos Gods and turned into demonic versions of the Space Marines. Then you have another layer of hell, which is the Chaos-born contagion, known as the Obliterator virus. Just when you thought it couldn't get worse, you got some viruses up in here. If you get it, especially if you're a Space Marine, it starts to fuse the metal to your skin. It's a techno-organic virus. It basically is like what happens if a Space Marine meets a fucking necromorph disease. Weapons start to replace your organs, your limbs start to go emphatic. Like, bro, you become dilapidated. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Then you have the threats that are outside the warp. So now I just told you about the corruption and decadence of what humanity becomes and the warp itself that we're constantly fighting. Then there's the threats outside the warp, from beyond our galaxy. The Tyranids, my favorite part of the lore. The insectozoid alien army that will fucking destroy anything I've ever seen in fiction. Maybe besides the Flood in Halo. See, these are aliens that evolve to win. They will adapt. They will actually see the weapons you use and form that from their own biomass. And what they do is they collect biomass so they can form it into new Tyranids and new Tyranid hives. And it's all a big clusterfuck. Imagine every insect on Earth fused into a single hive-minded alien swarm, evolving in real time. They devour everything, biomass, metal, stone, and repurpose it into new organisms. No diplomacy, no cultures, no individual mind. This is just a galactic swarm set to consume all life. Oh, this is another thing. Because they don't assimilate you like the Thing alien, but they do have something called the Gene Stealer Kiss, which they will like inject a little gene thing inside of you that makes you almost like brainwashable and makes you turn against your own people and defend the Tyranid hive mind and fight for it. There's no winning in this universe, is there? Aliens from Starship Troopers and Xenomorphs join together, and then you added the Flood in there as well. That's what we're dealing with here. But wait, there's more! Because I've already touched on all of this in my previous Warhammer videos. But there's more than just that. You have the fucking Necrons, these ancient beings that are coming to take back their empire. You see, they were once a dying humanoid species. Then they transferred their souls into immortal living metal bodies. These robotic-like bodies, and they've been asleep for millions of years until now. They're waking up to take back their empire, and their weapons can literally erase you from existence with one zap. They had like a relationship with these star god beings called the Zatar or Star or Stack or Stan. I forgot the name of them, but they're these star gods that basically the Necronoids or the Necrons in their earliest forms destroyed and used them as shards to power their own weapons, and that's how they can fucking disintegrate you. And they want to reclaim their empire and reactivate the Tomb Worlds. These worlds that have remained dormant all these years, all these millions of years since. So we got another legion of beings that want to destroy us. And that's also just the tip of the iceberg, because I haven't mentioned the Skaven, which is like a underground empire of fucking rats. I don't think they're canon to the 40k lore, but they're still in the Warhammer universe. So you have that. You have the old ones, which is this ancient alien intelligence that also existed, that also sparked civil wars. I don't know if they still exist. I don't know what happened to them in the Warhammer 40k present time, but they also are there. You have other chaos gods that are also in the fray that I didn't even mention. So basically, in this universe, as a human, you have to deal with rogue AI that you created that wants to kill you, zombie god robots that are ancient that want to reclaim their empire, demons that want to fuck with you, possess you, all that stuff. Demon sorcerers, basically people that have been turned demonic and are ultra powerful. Aliens that will assimilate and mutate you and destroy everything and infiltrate planets with their biomass. Eldritch gods. Hell itself in the form of this warp, this dimension of pure psychic energy that's beyond comprehension. And a theocratic, authoritarian empire that is corrupt as fuck that is governing humankind. Or a lot of it. I'd rather off myself. I would literally rather live in a world where all the women that I have as potential options for a partner are Felicity or Iris from Arrow and Flash. And my best friend is Mike Wheeler from Stranger Things. I would rather live in that world. That's a bad world. Okay, I don't want to hear Felicity and Iris crying about how I'm not a good enough boyfriend outside my fucking window if I'm the last man on Earth. And I don't want the other man on Earth to be Mike Wheeler. I'd rather off myself with a butter knife. But you know what? I would still take that over the Warhammer universe. The fuck? What the hell? How much stuff do I have to deal with as a human? Big ass aliens that are trying to assimilate me, demon sorcerers, chaos gods, and then my own people are morons? What the fuck? There's not a lot of things I ask for in a world to live in, alright? I just want, honestly, a roof over my head, some food, you know, some romance here and there, you know, a life of some kind of adventure. This shit is too much. Yeah, life would be interesting for the short time I would exist, because I'm dying one way or another. If I'm either dying because a space marine accidentally decapitates me with its finger, or an alien just jumps on me. Henry Cavill will do us proud. This is why I'm saying, man, people need to leave this man alone. Henry Cavill, please come back to Snyderverse. Fuck off. Henry Cavill, please play James Bond. What the hell? First of all, this dude's getting older and older. Second of all, he knows Warhammer inside out. Amazon Prime does not. Amazon Prime will ruin it. They will ruin it. We saw what Paramount did to Halo. They're gonna ruin it. We need him to restore us to greatness again. He knows how to... People laugh, by the way. I've seen this dude's set interviews where he talks about how much of a nerd he is for Warhammer, and his Witcher cast and crew are laughing at him. Bro, y'all don't know. Y'all don't know what's going on through this man's head. This man has seen every... This man looked at the universe that I've just told you about and said, yes, that's my life. Let him restore us to greatness, y'all. Henry Cavill will do it. Stop bothering this man and let him get to work. Bye. Ladies and gentlemen, we are on a mission to take over Hollywood. But the army must keep growing. If you want to suggest video topics to me, or talk about your favorite movies or favorite film theories in a community with like-minded individuals, join the Zafy Discord now. Link is in the description and the comment section as well. Join us. This movement is just beginning. We're taking over Hollywood, one coke line at a time.